Hey there, I am Angie Callen, host of No More Mondays, here with your midweek momentum, double shot of insight to push you through the end of the week. Today, I am chatting with Adam McChesney, who is here with a brand truth for all of us. People buy you, not your logo and not the business that you may hide behind. People still buy from people, even in this tech driven world. And here you're going to listen to Adam talk a little bit about how leaning into his personal brand transformed his business and helped him stand out in the crowd.
But I went to Boston like 75% of those times because that was kind of the main hub. So I was selling chemicals and reagents to life science labs and institutions on medical campuses and to biopharmaceutical companies. But I would literally go, and so we were selling all these different product lines, and I would literally go to Harvard Medical School, for example. And
Yeah.
my competitors sometimes would have 3 or 4 sales reps on Harvard Medical School's campus. Whereas I was the only person from my company that had Harvard plus all of that other
All the
stuff.
other states.
So that's really where I had the sales skill set before that from college, doing different jobs and internships. But I really cut my teeth there for about 18 months doing that because I had to maximize my time while I was
Yeah.
there. And I had to build relationships at a very, very high level because, again, they weren't going to see me for another month,
Yeah.
most likely, and they were going to see that other person and that other company 4 or 5 times. So I grew my territory. I was the number one sales rep in every category of like the 7 or 8 of us that were there, and literally crushed it because the person before, it was all about like, hey, I'm just going to go there and like try to like pass out flyers and do some other stuff. Whereas I was like so focused on how can I find this competitive edge? Well, then I get on at a company called ResMed, who is like the manufacturer for CPAP equipment. So in the small company, people, yes, they were buying our company's product, but they were really buying Adam. When I went to ResMed, it was like this aha moment that ResMed already had this massive brand where it was like, it didn't matter if it was Adam, the rep before me, the rep after me,
Yeah.
because I was only there for 3.5 years. They're going to still buy ResMed. Then
They're
I went,
buying the brand, not from they're buying a brand and a product and not from a human at this scale. Yeah.
exactly. So while I was successful there, it had to do with my work ethic, but it honestly more had to do with how awesome the product and the company and technology was. So I then go out full time, July 2020, thinking I'm so good at sales. I know how to build websites. I go do that. My first month, I sell 0 digital marketing clients. So I just leave this $200,000 a year plus job, the benefits, the security. 6 weeks before, I bought our forever dream home, like all the craziest stuff. Like I
You're
literally
really
did
good
that.
at timing things,
Yeah. Oh,
Adam.
yeah. It's perfect. Yeah. Perfect.
Ah.
So I'm sitting there and I'm like, I got to figure something out because in digital marketing, there's hundreds of thousands of options to get what it is that I do. So I went from having basically one competitor and being the leader in the market with CPAP stuff to being literally a tiny little fish in the freaking ocean. So I stumbled across this mastermind group that I'm still in to this day that kind of taught me the idea of what personal branding was, amongst many
Mhm.
other things, basically using your Adam and Angie social media channels to grow your business. So I kind of literally for the last almost 5 years now, just started consistently posting on Facebook, added in LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all this stuff. About 90% of my leads come from Facebook. And I started doing it. And it took me about 90 days of consistency. But with that, I signed up my first client. And my first client, he stayed with me for 3 years, ended up leaving because he didn't like the agency that I was previously a partner at. Well, funny enough, last week, he found out that I was no longer there. He's re-signing back up with me now after trying to find other agencies that it just didn't
Yeah.
work out with. So that was my first client that ever came from it. And so what I realized is that people, I had 2 different, now 3 different agencies that I had my own agency, I had the partner agency, and now I have Builders of Authority. People have been following Adam. They don't
Mhm.
care the agency name. They don't care all that stuff. They're with Adam, right? And it's a good and a bad thing, right? Because again, people trust Adam. That's a lot to hang your hat on and all that stuff. So you got to provide and you got to do what you say you're going to do. So with that, right, I started to grow my agency and we hit 7 figures in 15 months when really we hit it honestly in about 9 months, because the personal branding is really what it took off with.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to all these marketing conferences, right? Start getting inundated in that. And all these agency owners like, Adam, like, you've been doing this for less than a year or at a year. I've been doing this for 5-10 years. I can't sell. How are you even generating leads for your own business? And so I start speaking on stage in 2022, just sharing my daily routines. And
Mm-hmm.
people's minds are like blown because they're used to all the smoke screens of, hey, you got to use this automation with this little widget over here. And then you got to bait them with this and then really sell them this and all this different stuff. Right. And so they were just like, that was real, Adam. That's simple. That's easy. And I said, it's always simple and easy, but it's the consistency and the discipline that is what's going to either keep this going or not.
Yes.
And so that was the aha moment in March of 2022 that led to Builders of Authority launching in 2023, where I was like, I don't care if you're a coach or a consultant, if you're another marketing agency, or you're a local contractor, who is typically most of the clients we do digital marketing for, your business will grow if you start posting on social media.
And you're authentic about it, which is where, I get to make two worlds collide. My favorite word is authenticity. Adam's got authority. And they interact with each other. One leads to the other when you show up in those ways. So talk to me about how that combination really impacts and I would say even indicates the future success of a business and a brand.
Yeah. So when I was looking at like, hey, how do I start personal branding for a digital marketing agency when there's hundreds of thousands of us? So I took all the marketing agency guru courses of how to get clients and how to build a personal brand. Well, they're all like, you just need to continue showing case studies and screenshots of like, if you have a good client, get a lead or something, like all this stuff. So I'm testing out all that stuff. I'm running all the ads. I'm doing all that stuff. And then I realized like the aha moment is people do business with people.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, if all I'm doing is posting about how I'm the greatest digital marketer ever, people will realize that they're not going to buy from me because all I'm doing is trying to sell them. So I started doing 80 to 90% of my content having nothing to do with digital marketing. So day to life of the entrepreneur, who I am as a husband, now a father, what do I do outside of work? I throw in some jokes and motivation and all the different things. And so people started to realize that, oh, Adam's onto something different than most other marketers that just send me cold DMs and try to pitch me on all this stuff. So people started reaching out to me, and then I started to get clients, and those clients were referring me, and I just built up this inbound lead system that today, since I've gone back full time, like last week, I had 132 leads come in.
That's
This
stupid.
week right now, we're at about 20 a day. So we're probably going to pass it. And most agencies, right, if they're lucky, get 3 leads a month. I literally probably haven't looked at my phone, but I probably will have that one. No joking aside.
By the time we're done.
Yeah. So those are the types of things, though, that again, as I'm teaching people, they're like, Adam, how quick is this going to work? I said, I've been doing this for almost 5 years now, right? Like you look at me rebuilding this thing, which I think is a great aspect. So if you do, and when you do have a failure of a moment, I looked at it when I relaunched is I'm not starting over. I'm starting from experience. And because I drew that line in the sand when I knew I needed to do it, even though it sucked and I lost everything, I still had my integrity. People still knew who Adam was. And all they wanted to do once I was out on the other side was support me.